So welcome to episode, what is this, 5?
5 or 4 if we count the ones that still haven't been published or made.
Well,
I think it's 5 or 6.
It will be 5 because
there's a bit of a backlog as always, but anyways, if you see this, it means it's done, and this lovely person who's going to introduce himself in a second finally made it here. It was supposed to be last year, wasn't it?
It was meant to be end of last year or so. It didn't work out. I live like 500 miles away.
You can probably tell by his accent that he's not quite local. He's not quite southern.
Well, you say that. I'm originally from Maidstone, so I can't get much further south.
He's definitely not got a Scottish accent.
But I've not got a Scottish accent, unless I get angry. Apparently, if I get angry, then it comes out a bit more, because I've only ever heard angry Scottish people growing up as kids.
Anyways, we're jumping slightly ahead. Please welcome, guys, Ben Robinson, the Club Pro champion of 2023 and probably other years. I'm not...
2021.
Yeah, 2021. Well. He drives that amazing Noble M12, the silver one, somewhere...
Blue.
Yeah, we'll put the picture right. It's blue, sorry. Silver. It was never silver. It was always blue, wasn't it?
Always blue.
Yeah. Oopsie. I should know. He's in my class. Anyways, Ben, welcome to the studio.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Pleasure.
As I say, it's a long way. It's a long way to come, and I wanted to get here, so put in the effort today. Anyway, to get here.
A weird thing is, because we wanted to get you here last year, 2023, and you're obviously a champion for 2023, the questions we had with Will and everyone else was, how was your how has your season gone? How did it conclude? What were your expectations? What's your plan for the new season? But we're in 2024, and the new season already commenced, and we're practically 25% through the season, because obviously 2 weeks ago was Anglesey round 1 and 2, which you're going to tell us all about. So I'm not 100% sure whether we should start with, you know what, let's go back into the 2023.
Let's wrap up last season, because obviously you had some issues last season.
Yeah. As always.
As always.
Yeah. Last year, 2023 started the same way as 2021. Had a huge big fire at Cadwell.
Yes. You got a thing. That car's got a thing for fires.
It does. Yeah. Well, first round of every year seems to throw up a proper issue. But again, 2023 was a nice big fire. Made a right mess of the car. Anyway, that's for sure.
That was at Cadwell, and wasn't it the year before? You also had a big fire at Cadwell.
Exactly.
No, see, round 3 is tomorrow at Cadwell.
At Cadwell. I've already had a message, right? I've already had a message from 2 of the marshals.
We have extinguishers on the ready.
One said, please no more fires, and the other one said, good luck, I've got extra fire extinguishers. So we should be covered either way. Yes. I'd prefer not to have a fire.
So a bit like how Cadwell's your sort of like bogey circuit, like Dollington's mine. I've never had a clear run at Dollington. You've never had a clear run at Cadwell.
I've not. Even when I first started, 2019 was my first full season, and it absolutely bucketed it down. Didn't get a clear run. Thought I was going to do okay.
And they actually ended the day early, I think.
It was when it was raining. So my car wasn't ready, so I was in...
They did the same. They ended it early because of the rain in 2020 when I was in the Golf, which I actually won that one, but wasn't expecting to because, as I say...
Picked up the Golf.
Yeah, the Golf that doesn't come out anymore, that I keep saying I'm going to bring out, and it just doesn't. It's currently sat at the back of the workshop. It does need to come out again, but big as I said, big fire at Cadwell. When things don't go wrong for me, I'm like a typical racing driver, and it's almost like the helmet stays on. I normally walk off in a huff,
as we all do.
Leave Nathan to basically deal with it. So we had the big fire. Car got brought in on a flatbed, and it looked terrible. It really, really did. But Nathan pulled back the car apart. Nathan, absolute superstar. And we put it down to actually there wasn't any serious terminal damage. Turbo seemed a bit tight. The fire had ripped through loads of hoses and pipe work and such like. But we kind of figured that, well, if they were all replaced, it could still work. The wiring didn't seem damaged, which was my big issue.
Yeah.
The year before when we had the fire, it burnt through like all the wiring loom that I just had made for it. So this year wiring was okay. So a quick phone call to Dave at DTB Motorsport. Bearing in mind this was at probably about 7 o'clock in the evening by the time we got it all apart and cleaned off all the horrible stuff that comes off the fire extinguishers.
Yeah.
Quick phone call to Dave. Dave, look, this is what we think it is. Really sorry, mate. You put in loads of work, but I'm going to bring it back. And he says, his literal next words to me on the phone were, "But you're racing tomorrow." I said, "Well, I'm not because of this." He said, "Well, bring it over and let's have a look and see what we can do." So drove all the way from Cadwell back to Leicester, where DTB is. At which point I'm absolutely shattered. Help him take the car back apart again. He goes, I think I can maybe sort something with it. And I said to him, "Look, I'm knackered." So Jess and I went to sleep in the front of the van. 3 hours later, get a knock on the window from Dave. I put it back together. Do you want to take it round? Bearing in mind we're at Mallory Park.
Yeah.
So nice, quiet little village.
Quiet birds chirping.
At this point, it's probably about 3 o'clock in the morning. So we fire up the race car and take it around the village, and it was okay. He did say to me, "Look, I think I've got the turbo right. I think we have managed to save it." So I put it on, loaded it up onto the trailer, drive back to Cadwell. I think we rolled into Cadwell at about 7:15 in the morning at that point. I then got maybe half an hour's sleep whilst we had to get the car re-scrutineered. Got the thumbs up on it, and then the scrutineer says to me about my suit. So, "Can we see your suit?" I'm like, "Yeah, no worries." Go and take in the suit, and he said, "I thought so." And where I jumped to get out the car as quick as I could, I'd torn down the side of the suit. So he said, "Your car's okay, but your suit isn't."
Oh, no.
At which point we're going to be going on track in like 45 minutes. Thankfully, Jimmy Broadbent lent me a suit, which was a really nice suit as well. It had like HKS.
Cracking figure in that
Honestly,
suit as well.
it looked really good. Like the ass was just
I've got to say, that suit didn't look good on you, and he should let you keep it.
Oh, I would have loved to have kept that suit, Jimmy. But yeah, so we got out, we did a couple of sessions, we did qualifying, we thought we were going to go really, really well. And then in the final, the turbo let go. It was tight. It was, the bearings had gone on it, basically. So yeah, turbo popped in the final. We still, the time that we did was good enough for 3rd place, I think. Sorry, no, that's not right. The turbo went in qualifying.
Yeah.
The time was good enough for 1st in qualifying before the session finished, but obviously I came in. So then when we went out in the final, I had no turbo pressure at all. So it was like, honestly, it felt like driving the slowest car in the world. I think our top speed was something like 88 mile an hour.
Jeez,
I think we managed. And I was like, well, I'm just going to have to keep my foot in everywhere. Try not to scrub any speed anywhere in it at all. So my mid-corner speed on most of them was about the same.
Yeah.
It would accelerate to a point. So like, for example, when you're coming up the mountain, it felt really, really slow going up there. But you just had to keep your foot down as you went through the bit under the trees. That last corner was the fastest I've ever taken that, and it was scary. But it meant that I had absolutely no chance of spinning the rear tyres up. So it wasn't like I put my foot down and I was going to lose the back end of it. It was just put your foot down, hold on, and hope that you don't slide out too much from the front washing out. And it was okay, and we got 3rd place.
No.
I was absolutely over the moon with that, considering we had no turbo. So yeah, that was my Cadwell. And from there, the rest of the year went okay. We had a bit of an issue at Brands Hatch.
Yeah.
Was it Brands or Donington?
No, it was Brands Hatch.
Yeah, Donington, we were flying at Donington.
Yeah,
I think it was a 109, I think we done at Donington. I was absolutely over the moon with that. That was a really, really good day for us at Donington. Where, again, previously stuff was broken and I've spun off and ended up in the gravel. But But then that went amazingly. Brands Hatch, we had an issue. I was chasing you. You were really, really quick at Brands.
Just works really well. The car works really well.
And it's always been a track for me that the car doesn't like paddock hill at all. It just doesn't.
I don't think there's a car out there which likes paddock hill at all.
No, but I think it does suit the front wheel drive cars a bit better, to be fair. Whereas with mine, it just washes out so much, and then I can't bring it back in. Whereas when you get down to
I usually
the bottom,
keep my foot down pretty much from the top, and it's just sort of just like I've never had.
I can't do that. I really can't. Maybe it's just me.
I mean,
they're not big enough, you know. But
I usually keep my hanging on the wall, just in case you don't want to lose them.
They when I go over paddock hill, it goes very, very light on the rear for me.
So
it doesn't suit me.
So what was it? Was the turbo there?
So no, we blew boost hose, and it wasn't like it absolutely split apart completely, and then I managed on because that happened in the final for us, where I think I can't remember we maybe got because it was a double header I think.
Yeah,
I think we just got first on the first day. But it blew. And then Ronnie, who was just down the road from, is it RMD? I want to say RMD. Used to run the golf in BTCC and stuff.
AMD probably.
AMD. That's it, AMD.
That's what.
Thank you very much, Ronnie. So I jumped down to his place and went rumbling through this storage unit that he had of different size hoses and lengths and stuff, and he had just the right 90-degree right size down to the right size. I think it was like a 3.5 down to a 2.5.
Funny that how it works sometimes.
And he only had one of them, and it was just the right one. So we got it on, but we couldn't keep it on. It kept on just blowing off. Yeah, it just kept on blowing off. But to be fair to you, I don't think I would have matched your time anyway. Because you went sub 50. Is that right? You did a 49 point something?
No, it was 50.
Or
50.02. So optimal was 49, yeah.
I don't think I would have matched that. I think I was all out the day before at 50.4, 50.3, something like that. So I don't think I would have beaten your time anyway.
I'm just insulting the wound. That's when your car, it wasn't even running that good.
Yeah. Exactly. Like you should have absolutely smashed me that time. But yours wasn't running great, and mine broke. So it was a bit of ended on a low point for the weekend. Despite realistically, you say, right, well, I got a first and I got a second, and nothing major broke on it. But it finished on a low.
Was that on the Brands Hatch or your manifold cracked, or was that round?
I think that was the last round.
Yeah, that was the last one.
That's not
the third one. No. The third round of Brands Hatch, which was round number 6 or 7.
Yeah, 7.
Yes,
that was the cracked manifold.
Yeah.
That's when I went right.
And it qualified. In the quality, and then we were looking like, is it fixable? Is it not?
Yeah.
And then you said that you can't, even if you fix it.
Yeah, there were bits missing. It wasn't just a clean crack.
It blown out quite a big chunk of the manifold, which if we had, we could have done something, but we didn't have something suitable to really patch it with.
Yeah.
And I think you sort of like...
I'd given up at that point.
Yeah, you'd given up at that point. And I was quite prepared to do something.
You were. To be fair to you, you're like, oh mate, we'll fix it, we'll fix it.
Done. Even if you use like 3mm checker plate or something, we would have got it sorted. I mean, at that point, the manifold's broke anyway. So if we can get it just bodged...
Wasn't there a scare that if it gets damaged even more, then
sucks it in?
That was one of those
my issue,
yeah.
I was like, I don't want to break anything else for
the sake of going one
for the sake of one session, you know.
Yeah.
If it had happened earlier in the day, maybe, and I said, right, well, we need to do qualifying, we need to do final, we're going to be there or thereabouts, close towards the end of the season. So
you were way ahead at that time, weren't you? Because you were basically first.
Well, because we'd already done, we'd done Alton. Where we were flying again, even in the wet at Alton, I couldn't believe that. In the session at Alton, where I was absolutely pouring it down, I hadn't driven the car in the wet for the best part of 3 years.
See, controversial. Well, I love the wet.
Well, I do now. I didn't before 2019. I absolutely hated it. or even during 2019, sorry. But once I moved into the Club Pro class, because of the gearbox that's in the car, because it's still a road car.
It's still a Clubman.
Yeah, it's a Clubman car. It's a Clubman car.
A legitimate club.
A legitimate. I've got cats and everything, right?
Full interior and everything.
Full interior. Like, it's got a beautiful roof liner in it, but it's got a sequential gearbox. So because of that, it's into Club Pro. Like, we're not even, like, people joke about how much power it's got as well. Like, it's not, like, Andy Gray in his S14's got more power than we do. So.
Not currently.
Not currently.
Not currently.
No. But he did at one point earlier today. He had more power than we did.
I think it was yesterday.
Yes. Was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday, sorry. But yeah, it's a Clubman car with a sequential gearbox in it. It goes into Club Pro. But the big factor for that for me means that we can run full wet.
Yeah,
and they're so confidence inspiring.
You said that.
I can lean on those probably more than what I could on the old Trofeo R's that we had to run. It's unbelievable how much grip you get from these tyres in the wet.
Yeah, I remember you coming. You go, it's like the circuit's dry.
Yeah, it is honestly. And because of that, we were the fastest car in the wet. Which it was amazing for me. As the circuit dried out a bit more, then the pro guys get to put their slicks back on and they'll run away from us. But we had a really, really good session at Alton. We had a really, really good one at Donington. So yeah, we'd worked it out already. We didn't need the points, so it wasn't much point in trying to bodge a repair on it for the sake of 15 points or whatever it was at that point. And we knew there was another round coming up anyway, Snetterton, where we were going to be strong. So, yeah, which we were. Snetterton was great.
Yeah.
That was a fantastic round for us. Cause,
not for you, not for me.
Well, yeah, for us. But because we had Tom in his aerial atom, which I didn't think we were going to get anywhere near him.
Oh, weapon well pole.
Yeah. I didn't think I was going to get anywhere near him because in that car he was quicker than us pretty much everywhere else.
Yeah.
I knew we would have a chance once we did warm up, and I could see that I was within like a second or so of him. I was like, well, we haven't started pushing. He's not started pushing, but we were on a sort of level playing field. And the gap got closer and closer as the day went on. I think he beat me in qualifying by a couple of tenths. And then in the final, I really started to push it. I borrowed a set of tyres though as well, because the dry tyres that I'd had all year, they were gubbed really, and that's why I kept on spinning in front of you.
Yeah.
So we borrowed a set of tyres from Aaron, from Arrive, stuck them onto it. They were like used tyres. They weren't brand new tyres. And he was going to get rid of them anyway. But they were still better than the ones that I'd had for the rest of the year. And we just pipped him right at the end of it as well. Which, I mean, he had a big smile on his face. He was so gracious in his second place. But I knew that it got to him. It definitely got to him. But it made us feel so good because we'd worked so hard all year. And everyone in the team, like Jade, Nathan, Matt, the Turbo Technics guys, Dave at DTB repairing the car at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and to then come home with the top step at the end of the year. It just, honestly, it took me back to when I was racing in 2019 I really, really enjoyed it. That's why I took a year out in 2022. I took a year out from it because I didn't enjoy the year before it as much. It felt like things had got too serious, and the only thing that mattered was winning. So I took a year out, and then came back for 23 with the view of I just want to enjoy it again.
Yeah,
and we got that.
We've done the same this year.
I keep thinking that literally not 100% in the same position because we kind of almost were forced into retiring for this year because of sort of the plans that we have with cars and everything. And it as I keep saying to everyone, if we really wanted to, we could have. We could have done it. We could have done it.
I mean, our hands this year were forced by sponsors and commitments.
Yeah. So
they saw us both having multiple engine failures, an engine failure, and I was like, look, lads, took a year out. affect it, come back out in 2025.
We basically listened. The many people said, take the year out, build it properly.
We had to listen. They were giving us free stuff. So
Exactly.
But you get a lot more than we do, so yeah.
But if the cars were 100% ready, we would have gladly done. So it's
I mean, the micro, I could limp it around a day at a time.
But limping is not what you want. You want to.
No, I mean, when I say limping, obviously, I mean the engine in a minute just it fills the catch tank in a 15-minute session.
Okay.
And that means it runs low on oil pressure, which then means a potential spin of a bearing. So what I mean by getting it through a day, it's like
you have to nurse it. You have to nurse it.
You've got to nurse it around. It's just like, you know what, I didn't really want the hassle.
Anyways, it's not about us. We can definitely resonate with your decision to take a break, because that's literally what we're doing. And it feels so much better. Last year for me, again, I'm jumping into my own experience.
Go on.
But last year was so much effort, because it's a great thing that you keep talking about the team, and you have a really, really great team. There's always so many people in your garage, and it's almost like you have a full sort of array of people covering every single job, like 5, 6, somebody's doing this and that. For me, I am one-man band, essentially. Sure. Yes, we are sort of at the same track together. We have great help from sort of Haltech boys and Paul West and other people. But in essence, I am the one who is maintaining it, fixing it, building it, including carbon work, mechanical wiring and all that. So it definitely takes its toll. And I built my car in 4, 5 months? From scratch, literally from absolutely no bare shell even, and it was super stressful. Obviously, the family was neglected and all that stuff. So opportunity arose.
It takes its toll.
Yeah, opportunity arose to take this year off, and take it to super slow. And I'm super grateful. It feels really, really good, because now whenever I'm doing stuff to the car, I'm actually enjoying it more. Yeah. I'm not rushing. I'm not like, when is the deadline? It needs to be there. It needs to be sort of ready.
I think we both got massive FOMO for Angle C.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's definitely. I mean, because unfortunately, again, no live stream, but.
It's not happening.
Yeah,
it's not happening.
But even
not only in live stream, the TSL tracker didn't even work.
Yeah.
So we couldn't even see the dots go around the map.
So it was just whatever information we could gather from people who were actually there.
That's like what's it? San Marino Grand Prix on the Sega, where you just see them going around, and that's all you can see. It's just these little dots. I need that.
Anyways, we're definitely getting a severe case of FOMO, because obviously we would like to race. And
are you coming along to Cadwell?
We are. We'll be there tomorrow.
So you can be a part of our family.
Oh, we're not coming early, because we don't want to fight the car show traffic. So we're probably going to roll in about dinner time. I think we've agreed to.
Well, lunchtime.
When you say about we've got somebody that everyone's got a job and stuff, what a lot of people forget is I live up in the middle of Scotland.
That's true. Yeah.
Nathan and Jade, they live not very far from here. They live in Sleaford. Matt is in Northampton, and Dave is in Leicestershire. So I mean, when I first started, I drove the Noble down to Cadwell. Didn't know anyone. It was just me there on my own. I got lucky in that I parked up next to another team who just saw the car and liked it. And
what was it?
So that was Solar Motorsport. That was Phil.
Focus.
Yeah, Phil Neal with the Solar Motorsport one. And he'd worked on Nobles before.
Yeah.
So he just kind of jumped in and said, "Look, if you need a hand with anything,
just give us
let us know." And I was like, "I need a hand with everything, so to help me out." Oh, yeah. And they did.
Well, funny you should ask.
Yeah, I've just given you.
That's actually fantastic. I'm glad you kind of touched on this. The spirit of Time Attack through the year seems to be the same. It's not like it only just started like a year or 2 years ago. It's always seemed to be this kind of people are more than happy to help everyone else, and just it kind of fascinating. I know other series are similar to this, because obviously we have friends running in Thunder Saloons and other places, but I think Time Attack is especially because it's not a competitive race.
Yeah.
Because we're not racing for position.
You're racing the clock.
Yeah. So that's why you're more willing to help your fellow competitor. You know,
Yeah.
it's like you're not kind of like, yes, okay, it's all about podium and stuff and winning, but for some reason deep down you're like, you know, you would rather have this competitor with you at the track and enjoy his company while you're driving rather than sort of like fail. So that's a weird, really sort of. But I think a lot of people kind of agree on this. It's like,
That's why I walk up and down the paddock like constantly.
Yeah.
I want to see how everyone's doing.
Yeah, same thing sometimes. Yeah.
What's going on? What's happening with your car? I saw that you weren't out. Can we help? Is there anything that you need help with?
But it's quite funny because you released your Snapchat vlog the other day, and you was basically your vlog going about, where you know, where's me? Where's Eden? You're there. Like half the paddock sat there waiting as I get towed down the pit there. I was like, yeah, it's pretty good that, you know, everyone's come to see the mic was broke again.
Engines, counting engines. 7?
Probably 7 engines in total, bless it.
But it is, like you say, the paddock is it. Like I've raced in a couple of other formulas and stuff before, but the paddock in Time Attack is the friendliest. It's got the best people in it. Even with our group chat. You know, if anyone's got anything that's going on, you guys are in it. Oh no, you're in it.
I survived the purge.
You survived.
He paid the 80 quid FOMO fee. Yeah. I just get him to relay the messages.
I paid it back way in January. It was just like, you need to pay. I was like, whatever. I'm planning to sort of. I didn't know.
Yeah, if you want to come along.
So I was like, whatever. 80 quid to me is not like
Big jacuzzi.
Only fans subscribe.
Was that 80 quid including that? Or plus that? And was it due on or due buy?
That was cash.
That was cash money.
Straight out of the waist, man.
Since we're on stuff, I found out a bit, obviously, that the management team has changed a bit with time that this year. And even sat on the bench, it just seems very, what the word is, what?
I don't know what you're trying to say.
What are you trying to say? Okay. So are we going to go there or not?
I thought we agreed not to be controversial.
No, not going on that topic.
Oh, okay. What topic? Whoa. That's a big can of worms.
No, I mean, for whatever,
I think there's things that can be done.
Things are changing, and it's quite clear. Yeah. Things are changing, and they're trying to experiment, shall we say, with different things and that. And some things are quite clear, not as smooth running as we all want them to run, so to speak, without me being going into details.
I guess from that point of view, it's changed that we've been used
to. Nobody likes change. You know?
No, but to me, it doesn't seem like I can get where they're coming from with the whole late payment charge. I can get that, but to then word it incorrectly, and you come out with all the evidence, go, no, you're wrong, because this is what the definition is, and the answer's like this, well, just deal with it. And I thought, you know what, I've done things wrong in the past, massive things wrong, and I've had to put my hand up and go, I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Like maybe I've made a product which I fucked up on a dimension, and I've had to get on my knees and email people, say, look, I'm sorry, I fucked up, I'll repair it. But it just seemed no matter what we was trying to tell the organiser at the time, it's just like, no, that's not, you're wrong. Even though you're right, you're wrong. And that just seemed to put a bit, everyone was sour about it.
Yeah.
Including yourself, extremely sour about it.
I'm due to have a semi-formal chat with Andy. You messaged me earlier today, actually, say, look, you're at the circuit, let's have a chat about it. A few people have asked me to say a few bits and pieces and whatnot. Probably more people than what I thought were going to ask me to use. One of which wants to stay completely anonymous because he's a little bit worried that he might be seen in a different light if he brings it forward, that sort of thing, which I can understand. I mean, I've been in Time Attack now since 2018, so I don't mind raising my voice a little bit more, you know? I don't want to go too far. I don't want to get thrown out of the thing. I think the fact that Simon has left the company has left a big hole that they're trying to fill, and they're trying to fill it really with two people. You know, you've got Andy and you've got Mark both trying to take on this job role that Simon oversaw everything. He did it very, very well in my point of view, in that he was great. He was a great advocate for the championship.
He was a good face.
Yeah, it was a good face on it.
Face.
Very approachable. And if you had an issue, he was very, very happy to sort it for you.
Or at least listen to you, listen to your concerns.
Yeah, no, that's very true.
That is the important thing.
That's the important thing,
He was willing to listen before...
There was the sense as well that when he listened to you, he actually was taking on board what you were saying. He also, I think, one of the things that people kind of miss the point on as well is that things happen, things change, someone's always got an issue. Someone's always got an issue.
Right? You can't,
I came up against it a few years ago, 2020, I think it was actually. So that's when I started to look into building the Noble into what it is now with the gearbox and whatnot. And the car wasn't ready at the start of the season. And I'd paid in full.
Yeah.
Before the season had started. And at that point, I think we were maybe 3 or 4 weeks before the first round. And I said to Simon, look, I've got a major issue here. Not going to be able to compete. Can I look to have either a partial reimbursement? I wasn't asking for the whole lot. Or can it be used towards the following season? And he came out and he said, no, you've paid your money for the entry fee. Unfortunately, that's you now entered into it. You're not getting any of that money back. Which contractually, absolutely fair.
Yeah.
Absolutely fair. Don't have an issue with that. You also, by paying it up front, you do get it slightly cheaper as well. You work out it's like a round for free, something.
For free. Yeah, that's essentially what it is.
At which point I wasn't happy, made it clear that I wasn't happy, and then went out and bought another car and ended up racing that year anyway. And really enjoyed it, and ended up second place in this 240 horsepower Golf, which if I'd have still used for the last round instead of using the Noble that I thought was ready, I would have won it. That was a bit sour, but that was my decision. I thought the car was ready, it wasn't. But after that, when I'd said about, I'm thinking about entering next year, he was like, well, look, don't do what you did last year. Don't pay the full amount. Pay your membership fee and keep me updated. And then I think it was 2 or 3 weeks before the first round, and I said to him, look, I think I'm going to be able to do it. I don't know 100% if I will. What can I do? And he then said to me, I mean, I might be misremembering it a little bit, it was a while ago, but I'm sure he said to me, look, pay your entry fee for the first race.
Yeah.
That's literally what I did.
Yeah, it's the same thing she wanted to do for me as well.
Pay it for the first race. If you don't happen to make it, I'll carry that on to the second race for you.
Yeah.
You're not going to get the money back, but I will carry it over to the next one for you.
And at least you are in a system is paid for something, and then they can upgrade you to a full season.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what they did. Upgraded me for the full season, put me onto the payment plan, and away I went. As it turned out, we were about 4 days before the start of the season. Car was ready. Went away, had a great year. But it was that communication sort of lines back and forward. That, I mean, partially on my fault. I missed the year before that. I just went head on and paid for it, thinking that I was doing the right thing, but I wasn't quite ready for it. So yeah, opening up those sort of communication lines. If you've got any questions before you're entering as well, make sure you ask them. If you're not sure what sort of class your car's going to end up in, something like that, then ask the questions. You're laughing at me. You think I'm aiming at somebody. I'm not. Whatever sort of car you've got will fit into a class.
Yeah, there's class for...
There is literally a class for every single car. The regulations, they can be a bit backward and forwards.
I think misinterpreted.
Yeah, misinterpreted. Absolutely.
It's a weird thing because obviously any car can be fit for any class in time attack, everything's catered for. But certain cars are more suited for higher classes, even though they are in the lower classes. And the controversy lately has been is that people enter their cars, even though technically they are eligible for this lowest class, realistically and sort of humanly, what's the word I'm looking for? Not humanly, but come on, help me out.
No.
They should be in a higher class just to make it sort of more fair and more sort of entertaining rather than just, complete clean sweep. So there is a rule of 5%, which means that if your car is within 5% of the time of the upper class, you get moved into that, and which has been enforced quite a few times now.
Yes.
And some people complain about it, some people not, but I think that's one of the main sort of issues. People kind of tend to not cheat, but they really bend the rules to their advantage, even though it's hardly an advantage. It's more of a like, well, if you really want to get a first place and have this sort of not a very expensive trophy, let's say.
Plastic pot.
Yeah, plastic pot. Just buy one on AliExpress, write number one, and be done with it. So what's the point? It's like, it's all about competition.
Tom Walpole, number one.
P1.
Every track day. Every track day, P1. Love you anyway.
Yeah. But if you have a question, just do not hesitate.
Just ask it, honestly.
In general, 99% of the time, they listen and want to help out.
I mean, go back to the misclass. If you misclass yourself, it only becomes a problem if you win. Now,
that's true.
I dare say the latest controversy at Anglesey probably wouldn't have been a problem if he was dead last of the class.
Well, it makes sense, doesn't it? It's like, who cares what class you're in if you are not winning anything? But as soon as you start being super fast and super quick, you're basically putting a spotlight on yourself. And people start scrutinizing your car. And if they notice certain things that are not within the spirit of this class, so to speak. Yeah. Like, for example, if you enter a TCR car into a clubman, for example, realistically, it's a sort of, this is how the car rolls off the production line, right?
But it's not produced for the
But it's not.
No.
So it's technically, yes, it would be eligible. But obviously, if you like good enough for pro class.
Because that's like saying, like,
pointing fingers.
I think Fast Dave was on about it with the Cooper. Where his argument was, well, a TCR comes out like that from the factory, clubman eligible when it's got no interior and nothing, so therefore that is a factory car you buy from the dealer, so that's technically a clubman car. But if you was to then take the non-TCR Cooper and then rip the interior out of it, then it becomes a Club Pro car. And it's just like, stop trying to find fucking loopholes.
Well, no, well, my point of view of it, I've been quite clear about this actually with a few people, is that I've never thought that the TCR cars since 2019 should be in any class below the GT3 and sports car.
Yeah, 100%. Their pace is just little
they should change the GT3 TCR and sports car.
Well, I think that's the only thing that they're missing from it. And I mean, the TCR cars, they've competed a few times in Time Attack now. Nobody's really said too much because they've been either a standard
single round entry.
Single round entry. A standard TCR car. I think Andrew Barber entered one once a couple of years ago because his car was broken. But he was in pro. Yeah. So he wasn't really competing. Like you say, the spotlight wasn't on him because he was up against 600-700 horsepower cars.
Yeah. And just for guys who don't know, the TCR car is basically a touring car. Racing.
Yes, European Series standard.
Series. So it's a bit like BTCC, but it's a touring car sort of factory. Different factories like the Seat, Audi, they build them.
BTCC.
Yeah, they from factory they have standard engines. So the engine is basically sealed. They're running 350 horsepower. It's either DSG, obviously remapped to better gears and stuff, or a sequential gearbox. And proper suspension, they run on slicks.
Well, they run around about GT4 pace.
Yeah. So they are GT4 cars essentially.
For me, the fact that they are essentially a GT4 car, they run a GT4 pace. It should be in the GT3 and sports car, which I think off memory it states is GT1, GT2, GT3, GT4, GTE, and other such racing cars from series around Europe, Japan, and America. That's what it says. I think people have got away with the TCR cars because it doesn't name it.
No.
That's the only thing. It doesn't actually name TCR.
I think it's actually GT3 prototype. That's
so GT3, G4, GTE. That's what it goes along the lines of, but it doesn't mention TCR.
Right, okay, yeah.
I mean, I don't think anyone would really say anything. If somebody entered a full-blown BTCC car, I don't think it would be in the Pro class. I think it would automatically have to go into the GT3s.
But they've also got a thing to offer having classes which aren't populated enough. So it's a case of if there's only one TCR car, there's no point having.
But then why enter the car if you don't think there's going to be a lot there? Or you can do, which again I've made a suggestion to somebody, is that you go to the next class.
Yes.
So for example, instead of going from the GT3 sports car, you would go into the Extreme Pro class. Now, if you're running a TCR car that's been tuned very, very well, you've made further modifications to it, and if you look at it, it looks like a proper Pro Extreme car. It's super, super wide on it. Then enter it. I mean, you're not far off the pace of them anyway. Push yourselves, and you never know. You'll do better than you think. You're guaranteed. I mean, they've got a fantastic driver in that car. Now we are talking about the dark side TCR car. That I was trying to avoid talking.
There's no way to
be impartial. But I personally think it should be GT3 sports car or go up an extra class, go into the Pro Extreme. I don't think it's a pro car. I don't think it's a club pro car.
No.
And the reason being why some people say, oh, of course it could be in pro, but pro and club pro run to the exact same regulations.
The only difference is tires.
It's the tires.
Fred,
That's
the
the only
tires
thing.
was slick. And that was my argument in a group chat.
Was that sequential?
Doesn't matter. They're the same regulations between the two. The only difference is the tires.
Right.
It's only the dry tires.
Yeah.
So, like you said in the group chat about, well, what happens if he sticks a set of wet tires on it and then he goes within 5% of the class above?
Yeah.
He's going to have to move up. And at which point, then all the points that he's accrued, if that happens at, say, round 4, then he's going to have 1 round in club, 2, maybe 3 rounds
in club
pro, and then he's going to be in the Pro Extreme.
And I can almost guarantee that's going to happen. He's going to excel in club because it's not...
First time it rains. First time it rains.
Yeah.
Unless he sandbags. If he sandbags, then...
But then what's the point of doing that? Then I really have no... I don't want to say respect, but I have no... Then what's the point of doing that? Just on purpose going slow just so you can be in the lower... Like, what's the point? Like, what are you trying to prove?
I mean, by the time this comes out, it will be over anyway. But but yeah, I think it should be GT3 sports car or go into Pro Extreme and really, really push yourself.
Yeah.
That's what the car's for. It's a fully tuned racing car.
Well, I thought they had taken that car beyond the TCR spec now. So
definitely.
100%.
So it's a bit of an experiment. So
Well, it's definitely not 350 horsepower. We can see that from the speed track.
definitely. I think I was actually watching Daddy DC2's video, and I think he said it's running.
They're running 500.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure I saw that it ran Snetterton, probably on slicks, to be fair. Ran Snetterton in 2 minutes and 9 seconds, I think it was, which was 10 seconds or so quicker than the lap record for the Club Pro class.
Mm-hmm.
Slicks aren't going to make 10 seconds of a lap difference.
No.
They're just not.
No.
So, yeah, that's my stance.
We'll see what happens.
My impartial stance.
We'll see what happens. I mean, in all fairness, me not being in that class because we're taking a break, to me, it adds an extra layer of interest and controversy around the whole thing. Yeah. Because otherwise it would be boring, but now at least it's like action. Oh, wow, like who is talking what and what's going to happen? Are they going to be moved to the class? So let's see what happens. I mean, to me, it's all just interesting at this stage.
I did see when I think Will had his bloody schizophrenic pop at
Bonfield.
Yeah. That's Scott in the... Because I'm not in there, but I could see them in our group chat going, "Oh, Will, what are you doing?" I was like, keep a man in the loop. Give me some screenshots, man. I was like, they weren't doing it quick enough. So I was like, what the fuck's going on? Then he sent out screenshots, and like Scott was like, rather than sort of sit there berating me that I'm in the wrong class, so just educate me and tell me which class that I should be in. Yeah. And he was like, I don't know, quite right, so I gave respect. He's like, I don't give a fuck what you think about me and my cars.
Which is fair enough.
But I think they're coming out in force tomorrow, aren't they? They're bringing three cars
they're bringing. Yeah.
It'd be nice to see them on the paddock. I think.
I mean, it's a good name to have in the paddock. Definitely. Absolutely is. I mean,
they are as far as people, they are wonderful bunch of people. I've met them quite a few times because obviously we know Danny EC2, and I raced at Croft, and they were all there. And I walked around their garage, and I had a chat with quite a few of them. They are like us, like absolutely normal people. But
they came in and had a chat with us at as well.
So
came in for a good 5-10 minutes.
Ash's Dino is bought from Dark Side.
So this controversy is nowhere a reflection on them.
No.
It's just on technicality of regulations where cars fit.
That's what I was saying earlier, though. It's all about communication.
Yeah, exactly.
Which then comes on to the fact that is it a management issue where cars don't get classed correctly? Should there be like a screening process?
There's too many classes, in my opinion.
Too many classes.
We talked about it before. It's too many classes. We personally think it should be like 4 classes tops.
There's too many classes which aren't populated enough.
Yeah.
And then when we want to split Pocket Rocket into Pocket Rocket, Force Induction, and non-turbo, they're like, there's not enough cars to do that. But
and you look at other classes,
and then you have
there's 2
Jimmy
people.
Broadbent, who's P1 champion in prototype class for a year. Just for turning.
To be fair, he didn't lose. Not once.
He didn't lose. But
it just makes no sense. It's like, why put him in there? It's like, who is protected? Just put it Pro Extreme, top of the top. They want a similar pace. It would be fun. But then and then watching him on the podium with like, I know he's taking a piece out of it. He's like, it's not even. But why even?
It's quite funny.
I think Jimmy looks really good on the podium, though. To be fair, he looks fantastic. And see if I could just like borrow his race suit.
Yeah, he's got a nice new suit now.
He does. He's got a really, so that old one that he's got that he doesn't use.
He put a picture in our group chat the other day of his time tap trophy, like on the top of the mantelpiece, like all the other trophies there. So that's the only trophy which matters to me.
Yeah,
that's good.
But too many classes. The thing that I don't understand was...
Well, what would you bring them down to then? If you're saying you only want 4, like...
Well, obviously you would have the top class, which is unlimited. And in my opinion, it should be totally unlimited. Literally anything goes.
Yeah.
You want a jet engine? Fine, run with it. Just bring it on. So that's what my opinion of like a Pro Extreme class should be like. Literally unlimited. Your imagination is the only limit.
Go back to like 10 minutes ago when you said the only difference between Extreme and Club Pro is tyres.
Right, the only difference between Pro and Club Pro is tyres.
Yeah. So what we've been discussing, obviously we had a phone call the other day, like the one thing I want to do is there should be a clear distinction between the classes. So World Time Attack, for example, you've got like your 3 classes, you know how like we have our 3 sessions.
Yeah.
As I see it, you have your novice, your intermediates, and then your professional levels. That's what it is. That's what your 3 sections are when you look at it like that. And World Time Attack the same. So you have like your slowest cars, your medium speed cars, and then like your unlimited. And the difference between the 2 is they're on a lower spec Yoko tyre, like an AO48 or whatever it is. They're on AO52s, like the step up tyre, and then the pros are on slicks, or I think are they back on treads this year? I can't remember now. So I think like your first section, your clubman classes, if you was to use Nankangs as an example, is stick your clubman classes on like an NS2R, give them a lower spec tyre, and they've got to compete within the restrictions of that tyre.
That works with the power as well, though, because if you've got a lower spec tyre, and somebody with loads of power,
you're going to struggle.
They're going to struggle.
And then you've then got your second class, your club classes, they can be on AR1s. And then your pro classes can be in your slicks. Or AR1s, depending on whatever budget you want.
But also what I think is happening with having so many different classes and less people in each class competing is that it gets to a point where people are trying to compete for a podium.
Yeah.
Whereas, for example, if you take World Time Attack as an example, it's a lot less, so they have a lot more cars in each class. Yes, granted, the first 2-3 people are competing, but within their sort of classes, it's quite clear who is going to be at the very, very top.
Yeah.
And the lower guys, they are not competing with them. All they talk about on the live stream, wink, wink, is the times they're getting. It's all about the times because they're always comparing them to the sort of the fastest guys and how many seconds you're off the pace. So whenever they talk about the person in 6th position or 7th position, they're not talking like, the loser. They're actually still praising him for being this close to the first place, even though it's quite clear he's not going to be on the podium per se, but it's all about the time, and it's all about the time they've done in previous years.
Yeah, they compare it.
Yes,
don't they? They compare it.
but
say this time last year he was 1.2 seconds slower.
Unfortunately, in our championship in UK Time Attack, it's more about podiums, and hence why a lot of people want to sort of enter their cars in the lower one just because you want to win and be on the podium, which to me is a little bit heavy.
A trophy is a nice thing to get.
But
it does make you feel good.
The problem with the trophies as well, and it's exactly what I suffered from, is that they become addictive. It doesn't. It really doesn't matter that they made the plastic and they twist and they fall apart or whatever.
And
right?
it really doesn't matter how you win, because sometimes even I caught myself, like, for example, when was it?
Celebrating somebody else not doing well.
Well, not.
I did.
Yes, wink. But when there was literally like 2 cars. There was one of the runs where it was literally, I think it was me and you only. Or no, I think you broke and somebody else. It was literally me and somebody else. And even though there was hardly any cars in the thing, and I was like, yes, I'm going to get on the podium, even though it's physically impossible unless I drop that right there and then. It was impossible for me not to be on the podium. I was still like, yes, I am. Even though it's like, that's not competition.
No,
You're
exactly.
like guaranteed. It's almost like getting a cup for participant. Everyone is a winner. Yeah. So.
But that's what I said about how you lose the enjoyment of it, because you get that immediate dopamine of yes, I've got on the podium or I've won. Yeah. But when you look back at it, it just doesn't matter as much.
Shallow,
yeah,
really shallow
it is. It's a hollow victory. It's a hollow victory.
Definitely. I mean, going back to me and Andy Gray were in the same class last year, and I don't know how much people know of the history of me and Andy. We had a massive.
I wasn't actually going to ask, right? So I was saying this to my girlfriend on the drive over. I was like, I know something happened.
Yeah.
I'm sure they were friends before. Something happened. They didn't speak for ages, but they don't actually say what happened. Eden.
No, it's fine.
What happened between yourself and Andy?
I think we covered it.
I think we covered it on this podcast. But basically, we worked together.
Yeah.
We had a quite a spectacular fallout. And
because
we were working together, and we just had a bit of a dispute. I don't think Andy's head was in the right place. I think he admits a bit now. I was young and eager, just obviously thinking, work, doing what I want to do. And we just, long story short, we ended up having a big fallout. We had some was it like a long-term growing fallout, or was it like a fuck you? No, it was literally like friends at like 10 o'clock in the morning, and then literally like 5 o'clock in the afternoon we just had this like massive fallout, and that was it. He went,
and I think the big problem wasn't you just falling out because but people in kind of big intermediates putting extra oil to fire.
Andy mentioned that.
So we booked a track day when you did the roof on the micro, and we took the Binley Civic to Cadwell, and people messaged me like, "Yo, you didn't know Andy's there, don't you?" I was like, "Well, you know what?" I was like, because I want to admit, to go back a bit, I absolutely hated his guts to the point where it made me ill, like proper ill, like physically and mentally. That's how much hate I had for the guy. And like as the years went on, I matured a bit. I was like, you know what, life's too fucking short to hate. So like when people are going, "Oh, Andy's going to be there, he'll have to be close." And I saw Andy drive through the paddock, and we'd parked with some of his friends, which I knew he wanted to park next to. And obviously he drove past, saw me, and drove literally to the other side of the paddock. And I was like, well, went to the toilet, and I saw where he parked. I thought, you know what, it's been like 4 or 5 years, I'll go say. And as I walked up to Andy had his back towards me, and it was actually Tom. Was it Tom Gibbon?
Yeah, Tom Gibbon.
Tom Gibbon. He, as I didn't know his name at the time, but he was
good guy as well.
Yeah, he was looking at me, and I saw in his eyebrows just like, you know, that's all that suggestive is behind you. And Andy turned round, and before I even had chance to fucking open my mouth, arms around me, and he apologised, and then we both apologised to each other. I was like, well, it's too fucking
tears were drawn
from
cuddles and all that,
from all three eyes.
Yes,
and to be fair, that was the start of a beautiful relationship again, because when Andy said he was going to head to Times that last year, I was like, let's fucking you, me, Andy, let's all form like a group where we've got tools, we've got people between us to fix cars and whatever. And last year it was a fantastic
Andy's
thing.
brilliant. Like, I only met him last year as well.
The thing is that when Andy won the first 2 rounds at Cadwell, I had people who knew of the issues that we had and the hatred we had for each other. The hatred, as it turns out now, was fueled by intermediates who were basically being the middlemen, who were basically telling each other that we still hated each other, which in reality we didn't, but because we were being told we hated each other, it fueled the hatred for years until we just sort of like kissed and made up. And people are like, you know, does it really piss you off that Andy's won? I was like, no. I was like, if anything, I was like, you know, we both
spurs you on.
Yeah, it spurs me on. And I've not sat there all year going, it was fucking first. I wanted that, and like. Donington really annoyed me a bit because he literally picked me on the last lap.
It's like me at
when
Anglesey
the
at
second flag went down, I
600.
was like, you bastard, I could have had that. But no, I've taken my second and third places in absolute, you know, it is what it is. I've never once let the fact that I've not got first place get
But
me
you
down.
enjoyed the season.
I've enjoyed the season, and I think if you're chasing that. If you get third, settle for third. Just get second, second. I think people start to get a bit arsey and mentally ill when they don't.
Once you start chasing it, as we've said a few times, you lose the enjoyment of it. You need to keep the enjoyment of it, instead, and just enjoy pushing it.
Yeah,
that's the best part.
I mean, for me and Andy, I mean, like, you couldn't have two cars which are complete opposite ends of the spectrum, literally swapping times like that between the sessions all the time. So that was.
I really enjoyed Cadwell where I was in the Bingley Mega, right in between two of you. So it was like, you know, I was in the lowest power. That was still.
It actually popped up on my face when you were there. That was my highlight of the year next year.
It was good, wasn't it? Because first, second, and third,
the thing was like.
Yeah, you posted it actually, didn't you? Very recently about best thing with your three friends.
Because round one, I was sat there going voting between us three. I was like, we're going to have like a 1, 2, 3 podium. We're going to have this nice picture of like all three of us on the podium, trophies in the hand. It's going to be such a good fucking picture. Then I ended up fucking the car in the final. And I sat there like absolutely besotted because like, the reason this has happened because I gloated that we're going to have this fantastic 1, 2, 3 finish, and then obviously with the gearbox broke. We did a similar thing to you. We rushed it here, ripping the gearbox apart at like 11 o'clock at night, getting the gearbox back in the car at 2 o'clock in the morning, driving up and down the paddock, only having third and fourth gear. And then I was like, you know what? And like the thing that pushed me through round 2 was like, I want that 1, 2, 3 picture. Yeah. So it's like, I want the car to survive. I was like, I know I can get this car around here quicker than Phil with only 2 gears and driving one-handed because the synchro.
You had to hold it. I had to hold it. You should see the onboards. That was hilarious. Literally, you're sending it.
Like when I put the YouTube video, what people like, you really should put 2 wheels on the steering wheel. I was like, I can't. It's like, it pops out of gear. Then you know, we got our picture. And the highlight of my year is us three on the podium like that. Yeah. Like 1, 2, 3, like good mates, and that was the highlight of the year. But I was happy to settle for second or third just to get that picture.
Actually, thinking about it, coming back to what you said about your not being lucky at Cadwell, I guess Cadwell is not my thing. I mean, look, this year I'm not there. Clearly, the car is not ready.
You put my car into the tyre wall.
Yeah, I made it back. Last year I was in a borrowed car that.
To be fair, rental cars are the fastest cars.
Yeah, true. The year before that was in my car, but it was nowhere near. I think my best time was 1:41, which is like...
It's about on par with a micro on a good day.
Yeah, it was just completely running, just like all over the place. I mean, we took it to...
it's that dodgy ECU was on.
It was, yeah. It was before the Haltech time. Anyway, it was just completely, it was like, kind of thrown together by myself in like 10 days just sort of to compete. And it was just nowhere near ready. Anyway, so it was kind of like, the year before that, the car was, again, not ready. So I was in a borrowed Clio. And then that's when they canceled the race because it was raining. So I've never actually had a good, even single session at Cadwell in my car, in this kind sort of form. Hopefully 2025, we can...
I think the best laps I had there was at the end of season track day.
Yes, 100%.
November.
Yeah. Actually, that's true. So I did. Yeah, I guess I did have.
Yeah, that's when everyone like it was like a mini time attack.
Yeah, we just all agreed to bring a car down.
Yeah, he's true. So I did. I think.
I don't know if I could do that. I don't think I could do that.
No, unfortunately, I blew the engine on the micro, so I had no car. So I ended up doing some laps in his. Did some laps in Will Bondfield's.
Like, I'd love to drive other folks' cars. I would absolutely love to do it.
Problem is, I can't fit in most people's.
Not many people will fit in mine either. Like,
and I made so many people. Forward. Yes, and mine.
I've got like the short, like see sitting here. Like, I'm not that short. I've just got
tall seat.
I'm not that short, right? But I've got tiny legs.
You know what we forgot? We keep forgetting.
Oh, don't do it.
Come on, I think it's funny.
Don't do it.
I think it's funny.
Here you go. We'll see how it's looking.
I think it's fine.
So you know what it needs? It needs
Now come
one
on.
of them fluffy covers.
Oh,
Oh yeah, that's true. We need to get that.
A nice fluffy pink one for something.
Well, it's a bit too late called steering now. So now strap him into the seat. An hour and a bit after into it.
Yeah, 59 minutes. It's fine. It's all going well. So.
And that's a wrap.
Yeah, it's not even close.
It's actually quite comfortable.
Don't fall asleep.
Yeah.
Okay, so the question I really wanted to ask you. Obviously, we know that you've started and been doing Time Attack since 2018. 19?
I did final round at 2018.
And I know you're quite heavily affiliated with Scotland. What's the
Superlap?
Superlap Scotland. Is there any other series? I mean, would you like to cover your sort of racing career and what else you're doing? Because I know last year Noble is not exclusively used for UK Time Attack, is it?
So competed in Superlap Scotland with it. I won that the first year that I competed actually for my class anyway. But again, I mean that's a story on its own because the very first race I did. I mean, I've told so many people.
What is Superlap Scotland?
So Superlap Scotland is very similar to Time Attack, but it runs more like World Time Attack, and you've got your warm up, you've got your practice. Qualifying does actually kind of mean something in that you're then you do get points for your qualifying position, but you don't. It's like 1 to 5 you get points off, but it then determines the order that you go out in the final for your one hot lap.
Yeah.
So obviously, if you qualify first, you're going to be the last car to go out when the car's had the most running on it. It's going to be at, theoretically, its best point in the day, much like it is in Formula 1. You know, the last car to cross the finish line in qualifying has got the best chance. And yeah, that's your one lap. So you do your out lap, and then you're on it. If you stuff it up,
That's it.
that's it. Your chance is over. The only caveat to that is that if your lap is ruined by somebody else who's maybe finishing their lap, because you don't just go out like one at a time. You're kind of staggered. They'll maybe send one person out, 20 seconds later to send the next one, 20 seconds later to send the next one. So there'll be 3 on track. So you should all go around and you shouldn't interfere with each other really. But if someone's having a super, super slow warm-up or cool-down...
Or an accident or something.
Or if they've stuck a load of gravel onto the track, then you get to go again.
Yeah.
But other than that, if it's your fault, if you've gone off, then that's it. You've lost your chance. And it adds another element of pressure to it.
Yeah.
But what we did find is that most of the time, people did set their fastest lap on that one lap because there is no element of traffic. There's nobody around you. It's just you. You get yourself in the zone and ready for it. Your warm-up lap, you're working the tyres so that you know that they're not...
Optimal.
Yeah, they're optimal. They're not overheating. You've not done 15 minutes of a session already where you're doing hot laps and cool laps and trying to get it right and trying to work it so that you've got your fastest lap on the lap where your tyres are at their best. You get them warmed up to temperature and then you go for it.
Yeah.
And so most people did get their fastest lap
And cars
time.
get a lot less abuse because I find
Yeah.
a lot of the time, you sort of, even though, well, me personally, even if I would get a good lap, let's say on the 3rd or 4th lap, and I know it's a good one and I don't want to push past that, for example, if it's a warm-up or whatnot, you still end up just cruising around at sort of 95%-ish pace just for the sake of it. So a lot of the time would come in early, 5 minutes early, and people would ask me like, oh, what's going on? Well, nothing. I'm just preserving fuel. I've done the good lap that I wanted. I've reached my target that I set to myself. I want to preserve the car because it has. So, you know, it definitely makes sense to have this kind of format where it's literally one lap, warm up, and then you go for it. Come back and
There's a mental fatigue to it as well, though. Because if you think in Time Attack, by the time we go out into the final, we could have done anywhere between, say, 40 minutes and 60 minutes of driving already during the day. I found it at Anglesey, especially because, I mean, the amount of travel that we do to get to some of these places. I mean, this is probably going to be the earliest I've ever turned up at a track after doing this. So normally I'm there really, really late. get very little sleep. You do an hour's worth of driving on track, then you're going out in the final, and I'm knackered. I'm knackered, but it adds in that other element of you sit there, you wait, you psych yourself up, and you know you've got one lap, and then you're done. And you make it count. You do. Yeah, I interrupted you, fat mate.
I can't remember what I was saying. No, I was on about the super lap rule. That is my preferred way of doing it. I think from a spectator and commentary and a live stream point of view,
I was just about to comment
is again we will try and get Alexi on here when he's not doing espionage, but it's hard to commentate on cars going around, and you could focus on obviously inside. Like you put your headlights on, and that is how we tell the marshals and other cars we're coming up to that we are on a hot lap.
And you turn them off when you're on a cool down lap.
On a cool down lap, which some people don't fucking do. And you know, from like a live stream point of view, you could focus on that car that's just put its headlights on, and maybe 3 or 4 corners later is impeded by a slow car, which then means the importance of a hot lap, and it's like, well, they've just focused on this one car for nothing, then there's no excitement in that. Whereas like with the super lap, depending if it's
the focus is on them then as well.
The focus is on them, so your top 5 or top 3, your focus is on those 3 cars, and you could drum up a bit of excitement. What time tap do it? I think they.
Yeah.
I know they've got multiple cameras they can focus and they switch between. But like when they're doing the super lap, you know, for all purposes,
this car they
focus on that one car.
So you have this feeling of presence with the car. You follow through the lap. You're not just sort of like, oh yeah,
they do a proper highlights package as well. It's like 15, 20 minutes long highlights of the whole weekend from Super Lap.
We've been going this year.
Honestly, it's well worth it. Yeah. I'm only 15, 20 minutes away as well. You can crash in the garage or something.
It wasn't like more time attack. I mean, I know Scotland's in a different world. But no, we was like going more time attack this year, just to have a nose. Well, no, Scotland's too fucking far. I mean, going to Lochgelly was enough. And I know Lock Hill's just to the left and turn left and not turn right. But fuck me, it's a track from me. I genuinely don't know. I didn't know how you did it anyway, and to tell us that the car's in Leicester, so you drove from there to Leicester, then to Sleaford, then to here, and then you got to repeat all that process tomorrow night to go back. That is some dedication.
Yeah, it's like 600-700 miles minimum
and
every round.
And I moaned like hell going to Lousett's Ring last year.
Wow.
But then I mean, asking about other things that you're doing as well. I think you both did Quick 60.
Quick 60.
The plan is still to do it this year.
Well, I'm planning to do it as well. I was talking to the guy yesterday, day before about it.
Moto Festival, right?
I've got clash with that one. That's but for the Coventry one, I need to weigh up whether or not it's going to be worth me coming down to do it, because there's a big crowd.
Yeah. Big crowd of the Coventry one. The draw is public roads.
Yeah.
And to be able to do that sort of speed on a public road is what tickles me, and
that's what
just for content. Then it's being
I'm already seeing the video clickbait title. We go street racing, and that was always a pull. But then obviously one of our major sponsors tells me it's not a good event, so he's never really egged us on to do it. But I think that might be something we'll do next year. Just again,
we'll see what happens.
Quick 60 unique event. I just hope that they run it a bit better this year.
Yeah, one event that I keep running. I've won it 3 times in a row now. Is 10 of the best, and I keep saying.
I keep trying to do 10 of the best. That's the problem.
We have a lot of guys coming from Scotland, because obviously it's in Ilvington airfield, which is 3 hours from mine. So it's even more
like halfway. Yeah.
So it's closer to you. Yeah, I mean Andy Forrest always comes. Almost every year, I think. Yeah, he does.
It's a great
event.
It looks like a good event.
Yeah, great weekend, and it's like, well, for those of you who don't know, it's as the name suggests, 10 of. Well, actually, no, it used to be teams. Anyways, it's a three disciplines.
It was the best GTR fest.
Yeah, it's a 3-discipline event. It's a handling circuit, where it's effectively just cones, and it's a 40 or 50 second sort of lap between cones, different classes, 4-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, and front-wheel drive. And then there's a quarter mile, because it's mainly focused on quarter mile. Again, different classes, and people bring some really, really proper drug specific cars for that. And there is top speed, half a mile sort of run, where people try and get this top speed. And I think last year there was a 205 mile an hour I think it was a GTR. I can't remember exactly because I don't really sort of follow that.
To say, I dropped out at like
you do all of
106.
them and you get points for all of them. And last year, 2023, I won the whole thing outright on points because I was first in the handling circuit in my class, front wheel drive, and then I was second, I think, in drag. I mean, admittedly, there weren't that many front wheel drive cars, and mine is fairly quick on wide tires, and then top speed was a fairly good. So on those points, I actually got enough to actually outright win the thing. But the event is amazing. It's almost like race wars from Fast and the Furious, where at night all the tents and there's fires and music banging.
So what you're saying
That's the feeling I got.
It's that's probably the highlight.
So what you're
It's
saying
amazing.
is to tell the best has decent family.
Yes.
We call it family.
Family.
Yeah. So that's another event I'm hoping to do this year.
But quick 60.
It's Quick 60 is a really good event.
Yeah.
Although admittedly,
Perfect for me. Absolutely perfect.
Well,
Because I can literally just turn up, drive the
there.
car out of the garage onto the circuit.
Yeah. Admittedly, last year it was a little bit. It was only a second time.
Which unlike some organised, well, I know they have. Well, Quick 60, they acknowledged in the email a few weeks
almost
ago
straight away that it was
last year was a bit of a mess.
Yeah.
And they acknowledged that, and that was.
But also, it's good that they're willing to try new things because
Yeah.
it was almost totally different from the first year. The concept stayed the same, but all the rules and classes and everything was sort of jiggled around, and it didn't really work 100%.
It did because
But this year they're changing everything pretty much again, all the classes and how points are calculated.
they had too many cars. A bit of sort of same situation Talon's got is that they had too many cars in
One
the
class.
lower classes, which meant because of how they wanted to work the pyramid structure for eliminations, meant that the first low class got 3 runs, as they call it, on back to back.
So me being in a higher class, I was effectively sitting out almost 3 hours, waiting for lower classes do their thing, decide who is good enough to come closer to us because we only had 8 cars in my class. So for my first round was at 3:00, I think. It was literally like, what are we doing here? And then
and again, the thing that they couldn't see at the time was that everyone's paid the same money. Why is it fair that
seat
they
time is
get
different.
6 runs and
I got through it,
at minimum will get 2? Then if he's eliminated, in 3, he gets eliminated 2.
Yeah.
And that was the thing which they couldn't seem to understand, because what they wanted to do is they wanted to basically do 2 elimination runs of the lower class to bring the amount of entries in that class equal to that of the next class.
Yeah.
And then they wanted to run both of those classes down until both of those classes were equal to the third class, and then the third class started running. So, like, from Ilya's point of view, he sat there all afternoon. And then, but no, the atmosphere is good. I think the atmosphere is great, which, I mean, the first year we did it, we pretty much said straight away we were doing next year.
Yeah.
Atmosphere is fantastic. We did make a bit of an arse ourselves last year, wanted to demand. What I don't like about Quick 60 is they try to force you to park within your classes. So if you're coming, so like us 3, we went with 4 cars, 4 different classes, and they wanted you to park over there, me to park all over here, me to park there, me to park there. And it's like, well,
we've turned up as a team.
Yeah, because apparently for them is like, well, it's easier for us to gather you together whenever you need to go. And we were like, we're not sort of idiots or children. We know the timetable. You actually, there's constant commentary. We know who's going where.
They call out the classes.
And we can see who is sort of like, we're not going to miss it. And if we miss it, it's on us.
If they utilise the WhatsApp group, what time was that? A bit better this year.
Yeah.
I think it could work really well. But we basically wanted to be this big, massive Howtech team with the Howtech gazebos and the flags and stuff, and they didn't want us to do it. And we basically come to an agreement where it was because they basically, as I said, they wanted his parked in groups. They can come over to that group and go, lads, you're on. Then they can walk over to the next group and go, lads, you're on. So we had basically.
So if we miss it, it's
our fault. I was like, we know that. I was like, I know that car's in my class, so I know that once he gets his car with his helmet on, I've got to get in my car with a helmet on, and that's how it worked. And it worked. But then in the end, they said they'd come around to tell us that we're on anyway, so it was like fuss for nothing. But no, if they run it a bit better,
like you said, that was only their second year.
Second year, yeah.
Sorry, it's going to take a while. You're going to have teething problems.
So this year they're doing it differently. They're running it by FIA performance.
Performance factor calculation thing, and you have to enter all the all down to sort of
Wheelbase,
tire width, and all that, and engine, all the specs of the engine, the displacement, the bore size, and all that, and then the thing calculates.
So basically, like a Forza where it gives you that B, C.
Yeah, so you get like it's like performance points, that sort of thing.
Yeah, so mine came to 50, 51 PF points or whatever, which actually doesn't even put me into the highest class. I'm literally in the middle, which kind of almost where I was supposed to run the previous year. Because that was another thing, the big problem for both years, really, where it was mixed four-wheel drive cars and front-wheel drive cars. And the start is standing still.
Yeah, I did notice that.
For me, it was like, because I was it first year or second year? It was first year. Yeah, it was first year when I was with Sergio in Evo in the final. And
he can just sidestep the clutch and
I won't, but we looked on videos, and literally from the standstill still, he's already like 2 seconds ahead.
But I think that's why last year they did the 60-foot timing beam to see the difference, I'm guessing, the data between the four-wheel drive and the front-wheel drive cars to see if it's worth splitting it into a four-wheel drive and front-wheel drive car.
Or, I mean, they might even do it where they started from the 60-foot line.
That's what I said.
That would be a good idea.
Literally, roll start. So you start from whatever, as fast as you want. And then once you it doesn't even have to be 60. It can be literally 10 as soon as you're moving, because this is the initial start. As long as you have a little bit of grip. But hopefully they'll listen. It seems like they are the kind of the type of organization who listens.
They changed the finish last year, because last year you must have done Mallory.
Yeah,
but literally they had the finish line
way past
past the braking zone. So to comfortably brake for turn one, you'd have to brake before the finish line. So of course everyone was then pushing it even further.
Yeah. It was quite a few.
And it was quite squirrely. So they then moved the finish line to halfway down the back straight, so people weren't pushing.
Makes more sense. Makes more sense.
So those are my events. Hopefully the car
so going back to the conversation 20 minutes ago, you wanted to do something else in Time Attack.
Yeah, so I want to do mod sports racing as well in the Noble.
What's that?
So it's kind of like it's open to so many different types of cars. Whatever sort, like Time Attack, whatever sort of car you got, it'll slot into a class. Everyone's on track at the same time, but it's kind of like, because of the type of car that mine is, I can't really go racing in a proper sort of circuit racing series, because I don't want to put slicks on it, because it's just going to break things on that car. It will just break things. It's an old car. It's a road car. I don't want to just keep on breaking drive shafts and whatnot. So I can enter this on treaded tyres. In a class where I think it will be competitive. I don't think it will maybe win, because it's probably going to be in similar sort of class to like the lower powered radicals, atoms, that sort of stuff. But I think it will be on a decent sort of par with them. And like I said at the start, I really, really enjoyed the fight that I had with Tom in his atom. And that's the sort of class that it's going to be in. But it's also making that other step towards circuit racing as well, which I did want to do with the Golf. I'd love to do the Golf GTI production championship. That's what the Golf is built for. But time and money constraints mean that racing with two cars in a year is difficult as a delivery driver. As I always tell people, that's all I am. I'm just a delivery driver. So I want to do the mod sports race. Which again, it's quite close to me. They basically run it at Knock Hill as a series. I think there's 5, maybe 6 races in the year. I think I'm going to be able to manage 4 of them this year, and it will give me an idea of how I actually compete in door-to-door racing as well, which I've not done since I was 21 years old. It was the last time I did any sort of door-to-door racing, which didn't go very well because I was in an XR2. Spec car to the class, and it was a championship runner-up the year before I was using it, but I kept on bouncing valves every time I took it out. Bounce a valve, take it home. Me, my dad, a friend, take the head off, reseating valves, ready for the next day. 4 laps in, bounce a valve, and after 4 races or something, I went, I had enough of this. it's costing me too much time, too much money. I'm pissing my dad off a lot. So car sat for a year and then it went up for sale. But it's always been there that I always wanted to race. I always thought I was quite good. I always did think like go-karting and stuff, you know. I always beat my friends, which is why I then came full circle. And I was doing a track day at Knock Hill one day and found myself kind of competing with a race car who competed in Superlap Scotland. I found out when I first turned up to the first event, it was actually 2 classes below what I was going to be in, which is why I was 2 seconds slower in my class and lost by miles. But I really enjoyed it. I came to Time Attack. I got 3rd place in my first event there. I really enjoyed it, and it just built from there. We've got a decent social media following, and people that I don't know now. Every now and then I'll spot like the name. It will be somebody mentions you should see the Yum Yum Racing Noble, and it makes you feel really good. Like, I've been around for a few years now, do quite well, and it's not that I want to move away from Time Attack, because conceptually and Superlap conceptually, I really like it, because you are literally pushing to see how fast you can go, and everyone like tends to downplay Time Attack quite a lot. Say, you should go door-to-door racing
It's
instead.
not real racing.
Yeah, it's not real racing.
How's your qualifying going?
Well, I dare say there's also no contact in Time Attack
Exactly. There's no contact
till Evo comes into you.
in Time Attack, so you're not risking the car as much. I mean, coming togethers have happened over the years.
I think there's been
three major ones. I remember 2.
Fusion, Chris, Rob in the Fusion, Chris Williams.
Yeah.
Yours is probably a minor one.
Yeah, yours was still drivable.
Spectacular though.
Yeah.
So they're the ones that I remember anyway. I'm sure there's been others as well, but you're not risking the car. But as I say, anyone who does a track day, realistically, in their head, at some point as a kid, they wanted to be a racing driver.
Oh yeah.
Right? They all wanted to do it. But when you're on a track day, you're trying to see how fast you can go.
Yes.
You're not trying to see if you can beat someone. I mean, you might try with a friend or something, but that's not what track day is all about. Track day's there. You're going to have fun. You're going to push your car more than you can on the road.
Yeah.
Push yourself more than you can on the road, and see how fast you can go.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what Time Attack is. It's to see how fast you can go. So
yeah, I mean, Time Attack's a perfect step up from the track days.
Yes.
You don't need your hards, unless you're in the higher classes. But no, it's definitely.
Well, but then you wouldn't just jump straight into sort of higher classes straight from.
No.
You need a bit of experience.
Definitely.
It can be quite tough, especially with really, really fast cars, because we are obviously in the same class as pro class cars, like
some of
Norris
those
and everything.
I mean,
those things are flying, and sometimes you like
top speed's like 20 odd mile an hour quicker than what we are down the straight.
Yeah. So it can be a bit like, oh, so yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that's what I
a
want to do.
good step up.
No good. No, don't racing would be nice. I've
done last year. I've done with Fast Dave from Facebook.
Oh yeah, with the Honda.
Yeah, we've done the Enduros, which is a 2-hour sort of race.
I raced with Dave as well, actually.
Yeah.
Lock Alley.
Have you? Oh, okay.
Yeah. He was my teammate at Lock Alley. I think we got.
When was that? Last year? Were you there at the same time? No.
We were, because you came up to the first year that we did it as well.
We did all 3 last year. Obviously, Haltech sponsored it, so we had to. And I got dragged along. This year we spoke about it, but I was like, I really don't.
They cancelled it.
Well, they cancelled.
Yeah, they did. They cancelled it, unfortunately. I had a bit of a go.
Lot Gay was fun, but in theory, they should have limited it to maybe 20 cars maximum. Because putting 40 cars on that small track, it's just no. And then to go, if you have the smallest amount of contact,
you're going to be kicked off. That's it. You go home.
Who runs it? What's it, Rob? Big guy.
Yeah.
Is it Rob?
I can't remember his name.
Because when we were there, was you there when they shut that full focus out? He took his keys out and...
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. So basically, this year does last year we had rubbing, but like this year, the slightest contact, you're out. It's like, well, it's physically not possible to have 40 cars on that circuit.
No.
Not have
competing as well.
But the biggest kicker for us was I don't think it was this year we did it. I think it was the year before
I remember
and the year
years
before.
ago, it was literally like a 4-hour demolition.
It was though, but we got year before last, same speech. Nobody has any contact. If you do, you're going to be either sin binned and then sin binned again for like 45 minutes, which in a 4-hour race you're knackered.
Yeah.
Or we're just going to chuck you off. Right? There is no contact. Can't stress it enough. First lap, third corner, somebody went straight into the side of us so hard it ripped the studs off the wheel and the wheel went flying down the road. And then, I mean, we got limped back in. I tried to fix it with a car that I found around the corner. There was another Mini sitting there, just around the corner, sat up there. Obviously, somebody had smashed it, but this side of that corner was okay. So I tried to nab the bits off it and fix it, but it turned out that it completely stripped inside the hub. So I could get them on, but I couldn't tighten them up. But nothing happened to him. Absolutely nothing. And then when we went to say goodbye, he'd finished his stint, and his other driver was out. And then they were sitting in there with all the organisers having a good laugh and stuff. And he was saying, "Oh yeah, like it's hectic out there. You're getting hit left, right, and centre. It's great fun." And they were all saying how good it was. Like, well,
I think for insurance
What was the
purposes,
point?
they've got to give that, haven't they? But
Yeah.
I mean, the How Tech Boys wanted us to do it again this year. I just don't want to. I mean, I don't know how you do it, but for me, it was like 3 hours to Birmingham, and then with a trailer, it was like 8 hours minimum all the way up there. It's a long old trek.
well, it took us 12 hours to get down there today,
That's what I mean. I'm sat here moaning, but you're doing double the mileage, and
He's a delivery driver. Literally,
used to it, yeah.
to him, it's just another day in the office.
It's true. It is true.
So
But no, not go. Interesting enough as well is I've had a rather interesting. We sort of had an interesting invitation this year to go and do the 12. Part of the 24-hour lemons.
Okay, yeah.
At, it was either Pinoco or Sunoco Raceway. But it's one of my micro customers. He's got like this really weird Mitsuko Butte, which is essentially a 5-door micro, which has had a fiberglass boot put on the back of it to make it look like a Mark V Jag sort of type thing. And he's just bought one of our mountain kits, bought an 1800 in. But he's basically invited us over, obviously parts in tow. Part of the deal I bring some upgrades, like some braces and whatever. But I think something like that over here would be fantastic. But I just don't. I think because of the red tape, the only place that's ever going to happen is a Loch Gelly, and the circuit's just too small. Whereas
It's a go-kart track, really. They call it a drift track. It's a go-kart.
Well, we had this conversation with Alexi earlier because Alexi wanted to go do it, and I said, Driftland is, for all purposes, the only corners of drifting are the ones near ones near the office. All the roads around the back, they serve as the smaller
They're feeders.
They're
feeders.
They're not there to be drifted. They're literally feeders to line the cars up, and all you drift is that one, the bit at the end.
yeah,
So that bit on the Loch Gelly thing is fine because you can go 4 cars wide, but then you go for the feeders and you can barely get 2 cars around.
90 degree.
And the same 4 cars are still trying to go through 4 cars wide. But no, still like a 24-hour Lemons would be nice, but because of the red, I think the closest thing we got was probably the Enduro car.
I mean, I don't think you've had him on it yet. AJ.
We're going to get AJ on.
Going to get AJ on. So,
legend.
I mean, I'm really jealous of AJ. He got to drive in, I'm sure it was the Enduro car. He got asked to go and join the club racing guys. I might be getting some details wrong, but that's the story I'm going to go with. And he absolutely thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, that's the dream for me. I mean, that's essentially being a professional racing driver. You've been invited to go and drive somebody else's car. And I mean, it was a 24-hour race as well. I'm sure they did really well at it as well. And he got praised for how well his driving was. And from there as well now. So now he races in, I don't know if it's Ford Fair or it's Ford something or other, that he races in, like, as a proper series 6 times a year, 7 times a year, something like that. He's doing really, really, really well in it, really enjoying it. But I'm pretty sure that was the first race that he got to do, was that one.
Yeah.
So if anyone would like to invite Ben Robinson from Yum Yum Racing to come and race their car, you're more than welcome.
Difficult thing for me at this size is because GFB, what's his name?
Colin.
Colin from GFB rang me. I was asking what I wanted for the shuttle this year. And he says, I said, I've got a proposition for you. It says, I think they've started something called Club B or Class B. So about maximum 1.5 litres, like Ignises, Corsas, that sort of stuff. And he says, well, would you be interested to drive? It'd be this much, which, the price was like, I said, you know what, I'd pay for that. Considering what I paid for time. I said, I'd pay for that. I said, it says, it's like a 45-hour endurance and we swap drives or whatever. I said, the only problem I've got is my size. I'd need to be paired with someone of the same sort of body figure, so we've not got to piss around with arms and stuff. He goes, well, that's what I've run you, you see.
You're perfect.
Because we've got to drive him in a car, and he's your sort of body shape, so like he'd be perfect with that. I said, but I've not got to be fucking hard, have I? So
it's not hard to get, though.
No, it's not hard to get, but it's too late now, unfortunately. But that some door-to-door race would be nice. I think we'd do something. My last door-to-door racing was stock car racing back in, that's back when I was 16, so 18 years ago. It was my last door-to-door racing.
I just want to finish my career and do some laps and see what
he's found another little sport.
Yeah, that's true. And recently, I don't know when this video is going to come out, but I've just released my first video from Formula G with basically Gymkhana, because I'm planning to build a Gymkhana car which is based on a MR2
something I've been meaning to do for years, and I took the start, which was a sack of shite. So I went and did some laps in his MR2, and I was like, it's actually extremely fun.
That's a lot of fun. That's probably one of the reasons why I'm not like craving time attack as much as I should, because I already have done a taster session, we've done a practice session, I've done a single track day with the car. So I've been 3 hours, three times I've been out already. And in July we have sort of first 2 rounds, and then unfortunately this season is really sort of scaled down because of lack of venues. They really don't like that format as far as I understand, and they're not willing to sort of provide the space. Anyways, so it's only a four round championship.
Where did they do those?
Santa Pod, Brands Hatch.
Brands Hatch was the learn to Gymkhana.
Like one of the only championships to be able to get hold of the bloody tarmac lake at Donington.
Yeah.
I don't know how they swindled that, but they don't like renting out that bit of land, do they?
Yeah. Anyways, it's a lot of fun. It's basically sort of it's almost like an auto solo, but you are side by side with another person. So you're competing for, obviously time, but also position, because you have to finish at the same time. And it's Gymkhana, you basically go around cones, and it's like you have a map, a small circuit. It's a really sort of short course, 30 seconds, around 35 second course. And it's in essence, you drift or initiate a slide with a handbrake or whatnot around obstacles, and you do a technical sort of turn, and then you sort of stop within the box. Within
and then you swap sides.
And then you swap sides.
And you repeat the course in mirror.
Yeah. So it's a lot, extremely amount of fun. It's so much fun, because obviously it's elements of going fast and drifting and actually taking corners. So it's not as fast-paced drifting as the normal conventional drifting. So it's
quite technical.
It's really technical.
And
you don't need
a lot like
don't need a powerful car, because I don't want to boast, but I won the practice session car, and it was a rear-wheel drive. Rear-wheel drive with a handbrake, hydraulic handbrake. All you need. And decent tires with enough sort of grip, so you can actually, hold your speed around the corners and stuff. And it's a brilliant time, like 130 horsepower MR2, and I won the practice one.
That's it. With it being such a tight circuit, then power's not going to be a huge
factor. No, in fact, you don't want power, because I've seen what the pros do. They don't actually drift around the obstacles. They initiate the slide, and then they hold the car going around it as tight as possible without going sideways.
Did you get a passenger lap with Mantis?
No, with Mantis, no.
So
he's different breed. He does.
Mantis is a fucking good. Mantis got an
LS3 swap MX5 with a custom body kit.
And I got asked to what passenger lap. I said I'll have a passenger lap, but I'll only have it if I go with a Mantis. And fuck me, I've never had been in a car with such, again, like initiated like V8.
He has almost like in his head, he has this like 11 position rotary switch of madness, because this car can honestly just drift non-stop. So when he wants to have fun, he was at the track day, and he would do a lap where he literally just as much sideways as possible with kicking the rear up, or he can turn it down and still do it with a slide. But it's a weird way of looking at it. It's almost like all four wheels are sliding without spinning and smoke, but it's extremely fast way of going around. So that's the key. That's how professionals win. They go around it without oversteer or understeer, if you know what I mean. So it's not drifting, it's really technical. So he can do
also the
that
same
on
guy
the fly
that
change.
won the 2019 Jim Carlin Championship in Warsaw.
Yeah, they've been in Europe and stuff.
200 odd horsepower MX-5 compared to all of the big
higher power.
They brought all the high power drift cars from USA, Japan, everything. And what one?
And he turns out with the
a guy with
MX-5.
200 horse, 1.8 supercharged MX-5. Well, no, Jim Carlin's better. Anyway, I think we need to start wrapping this up because I know Ben wants to go get set up. But we have a list of questions here.
Okay.
Just sort of
Is this quick fire stuff?
It's what it sort of is. I mean, most of the stuff we've mostly covered. We know your current competition car is Noble. I think my question here is, how did you get from the Golf to the Noble? Or did you have the Noble?
No, so I started with the Noble. Noble was my everyday car.
Right, all right, okay.
Yeah, I drove it to work and back every day.
So you had Noble before the Golf?
Did track days. Saw the guy doing super lap, started racing, then decided to go. I broke 4 gearboxes in a year, in time attack and super lap. All right, I've had enough of this. I want a stronger gearbox. Let's go fit the Hollinger box. Then it was, well, now we need to do all the wiring loom and get that all working together for it. It didn't quite get ready in time. I'd already paid for my entry.
So that's what the Golf did.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was me, myself, and Phil from Soda Motorsport were on eBay, Race Cars Direct, Piston Heads. What can we get that's not too expensive, that's just ready to go? Okay.
So was the Noble a midlife crisis buy?
No, I had my midlife crisis when I was 22. I bought an XKR. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
22 years old with a Jag.
Jag.
And it was lovely. Absolutely loved it. Long story short, I then had to split up with a girlfriend. And the bank said that I could either keep the house or keep the car.
You got the car.
So I got rid of the car.
Oh.
Ran about in a diesel Fiesta for a couple of years. And then I think I had a GT86 for a couple of years. And then I bought the Noble, which was always my dream car. So
Fair enough. Spec and mod list. So big turbos?
Not really. They're the hybrid turbos for an M400, which is a later version of the car, which originally came with 425 horsepower.
So in essence, they're stock turbos.
Basically, yeah.
Okay. What sort of power is it running? If you want to disclose that information.
I've got different power settings on the car anyway. Right. Part of the ECU allows me to turn the power up, turn it down just on a knob in the cockpit. But so yeah, we run anywhere from about 440 to 585.
Yeah.
There is a party mode, which we only ran on an engine dyno with optimal cooling, and turned everything up to the max, and it made 701. And then we turned it back down again because we can't run it like that.
No, definitely.
But it was good to see what the engine can actually do.
Yeah. I think it's always good to see.
And that sort of power, because obviously the engine is not fully built for it, is it?
No, really.
Yeah. So at that power,
it wouldn't last.
Not going to last.
No, it's not going to last.
It needs to be fully like. Then you can experiment with this.
At the end of the day, that's why we fit the gearbox. We wanted reliability.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know. So yeah, that's why we turned it back down. Max power is 585.
Beyond that, it's pretty much standard. It's
beautiful inside.
Full interior. Yeah.
Got carpet and everything.
Yeah. You were actually at the classic road show. No, what was it?
So
the NSC,
NEC
classic and retro show. Anyways, yeah. So you were there with all the Nobles and stuff like that. So we had a really good look around. not while in the paddock competing in sort of your race suit, but actual sort of like,
There's different environments,
relaxed, statics. Yeah, sort of.
You're not clock watching to see when you're on.
Yeah.
No, exactly.
No, it's a beautiful car. I mean, obviously the underneath the skin, it's all sort of.
It's a Land Rover.
It's basically
It's a Land Rover underneath.
It's a Landy with sort of square tubing, sort of chassis modified to accept a different engine, different this and that. So all sort of archaic and rudimentary, but
it works.
Beautiful car.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of my all-time favorite cars. I mean, there's no way I can afford one, especially now.
Well, that's it. I bought it when they were really at the bottom of their price range, which I used to justify to myself why I could then spend money on it with the gearbox and the ECU and the wiring loom and stuff, and saying, well, it's gone up by that, so if I spend it on it anyway, I've not really lost anything. Absolute man math, and it worked. But yeah, it's one of those cars that, I mean, it's a bit of a cliche, they don't make them like they used to, but they don't. Like, it's got no driver's age.
Outside of that's it. Same.
No driver's aids, it's just you. You put your foot on the brake too hard or too late, you lock up. If you put your foot down too hard on the accelerator, you spin the rear tyres up. There's no traction control. There's no electronic stability control or anything like that. It's just you. So, I mean, a friend of mine's recently bought one. He's gone from an M4 competition to the Noble, and he said it's like nothing he's ever driven before. He had a high-powered Evo 6 RS MR.
I think we know what you're talking about.
Aaron. And he's gone to the Noble, and he said it's like nothing he's driven before. It feels so fast. He took it on a track day, and he's not anywhere. Well, I say not anywhere near. He's like 3 or 4 seconds slower than he was in his Evo, even though it feels that much faster. And I've said to him, it'll just take you time to get used to it.
You're scared. New cars, expensive cars. Like,
it takes time to get used to it. You've got to learn where the grip levels are and how it lets go, because it does let go on you, but it is holdable. You can just, if you get it just right, you will hold it in a 4-wheel drift. You're not like drifting, making loads of smoke out the back. It's just the wheels are still straight, but the car's going to the side and still going forward. And it will hold it really, really well if you get it right. And if you don't, you spin it loads of times in front of Clio instead, which I've done many times.
I know you want to get off, so we'll fire through. Aero on the Noble.
Yes.
It's rubbish. It's absolute rubbish. They put one in the wind tunnel a few years ago, and everything works against it. It develops front end.
I remember
lift.
actually you said something about this at Autosport. I remember speaking about how the rear tailgate is designed.
Yeah, so it looks very aerodynamic, but the front end develops lift, and the rear of it means that the air doesn't actually reach the spoiler at the back, and the spoiler doesn't do anything anyway. You've only got something, I think they worked it out, it was like 5 mil either side.
The factory spoiler.
Yeah, on the factory spoiler, 5 mil either side was actually in the air. So there's a couple of ways to combat it. You can go to what's called an RSR kit, which I think there's now 5 of. There's a set of molds that I'm trying to get hold of, and Ilya hopefully is going to help me out with actually making the clams for it. But yeah, so instead of spending all that money on getting the new clams, I've raised the rear spoiler up by about, I think it's about 10-12 centimeters, so it is quite a bit higher. Still below the roofline, and also then added an APR rear wing to it, which is proven to actually developed downforce. We've got a slightly bigger splitter at the front. Only reason for that is because we're allowed to in the class. But it is still a road car, so I can't have it sticking out a foot in front of the bumper. It's still got to be MOT'd. So it doesn't really do very much, but it does have a little bit of a benefit having the bigger splitter, because the Noble as standard has got a flat-ish floor on it. So that does help a bit with it, as far as aero is concerned.
So did you notice any difference between the modifications, side of wing, the splitter?
Yes and no. So I would like to say yes, I did. It felt much more planted at the rear when I fitted the rear wing on the higher speed corners.
Right.
I can't prove it, and I don't know if it's just psychological.
Yeah.
I fitted a rear wing, I can therefore push it harder. And then you push it harder and it holds it. I don't know if it would have done that before or not, because
And also the problem with all of this sort of
it's a black magic, really.
Well, not only that, you almost never can do back-to-back testing with only a single change. You always end up doing a multiple. So you've done a wing. I'm sure you've done a split at the same time. And maybe you took the suspension, and maybe you had different tires. Maybe petrol was slightly different. Maybe there was different elements were different. So you can't really. So in order for you to understand, you literally need to have a full session, let's say 10, 15 minutes, with all the data, timing, whatever, with standard wing and then without a wing on the same day, so you can compare the difference. But it's understandable where it's difficult to sort of
well, I've always said to people
to achieve those things. So it's difficult, especially with those sort of errors. Like, what was the difference? If it feels faster, I reckon that's the difference. Yeah. If it feels faster to you, it means you have more confidence. So
that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, so you can push more.
At our sort of level,
I
mean, none of us are proper professional racing drivers. We're not Formula One. We're not touring car sort of levels. And so we always say the best way to go faster is seat time and tuition. And that, I think, has got a secondary point, and that seat time and tuition give you confidence. And that's why I think a lot of us in Time Attack as well is, as the day goes on, at every track that we go to, we get quicker and quicker.
Yes.
And it's because we're more confident in the car.
Yes.
And so adding the bits of aero gave me the confidence, whether it's physical in the car or if it's just in my head.
Or even if you think
it doesn't matter.
It should work, it should hold it,
Therefore,
so you push it harder.
Exactly.
But chances are it would have done the same without it, but in your head you like...
without it, I wouldn't have pushed as hard. So to answer your question, yes, the aero does make a difference,
Right.
but I don't know why.
And there is no way of testing
And there's no way of testing it.
Yeah.
And that's the end, folks. Next question. I'm probably going to guess at this point these two are probably become part of the same thing. Is your favourite mod and what modification was the game changer? I'd say
Gearbox.
sequential.
Yes, absolutely. But for not possibly the reasons why a lot of people might think it. The main thing for me was, again, this confidence in the fact that I'm going to take a gear and it's going to be there.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
Because I'm not the most sympathetic driver.
I don't think anyone is. I mean, you were telling me when you was watching the videos.
You're grabbing for the gears in the manual.
I have no mechanical sympathy.
Zero.
I mean, it's telling me it's got to repair it, so...
I mean, the gearbox in it will take up to, I think it was 750 Newton meters of torque.
Yeah.
I haven't got that. I'm, more than 200, less than that. So I'm quite confident, flat shift every time, not going to be an issue. It sounds really nice. The shifts are near seamless. And it does also have an effect in that I don't think, and I did do a bit of research on this, like obviously just because the gear change is quicker, let's say by 0.2, I can change gear 0.2 of a second quicker. You're going to change gear 10 times in a lap. Doesn't mean that you're 2 seconds faster.
No.
Because during the gear change in a manual, you don't stop for 0.2 and then start again. You're still moving. Right? You've still got motion. You've got loss of drive, but you're still going forwards. So in overall terms of lap times, I don't think it makes a huge difference there. Where it did make a difference for me, though, I think was the fact that my original gearbox was a 5-speed. Now I've got a 6-speed. Top speed now is ever so slightly lower than it was with the 5-speed. I think we spec'd the gearbox for, I think it's 156, I think is what it will top out at. We based that on Snetterton, Bentley Straight, power, what speed will we reach, because there's no point in gearing it for more than that. I'm unlikely to ever really take it to anywhere. Maybe Silverstone.
Yeah.
Might run out of gears a bit at Silverstone, but for where we are at the moment, that's where it's going to be. And And it does make the acceleration a little bit quicker. It does. But it's the confidence thing that's the main thing for me.
And reliability.
And reliability,
Save
yeah.
in the pocket.
Touching wood.
Touching wood.
Just in case.
Favourite track?
Oh, that's a hard one. Touching wood.
That's what she said.
It'll be between Donington and Alton. I do love going through the Craners and trying to push it as hard as I possibly can through there.
Mm-hmm.
Rest of the track's great as well. I have had a couple of mishaps there. I've pushed it too hard. There's a fantastic photo of me at the second corner, which at the time was still within track limits because I've got one tyre is still just within the white line. The others are completely off the track, over the curve and on the dry mud, and there's a big plume of mud or mist coming out behind. And it looks brilliant,
picture,
honestly.
It's right here.
It looks brilliant.
If you don't, there's no picture there.
And I love Donington for that fact. I've also had two events at Donington where I've won it as I've crossed the finish line. And that's an amazing feeling. Alton, though, I just really enjoy the track. I think it's one of those tracks. It's got lots of really good things about it. It's got the long straights. If you do the full circuit as well, you've got like a mini carousel on it. You've got the bit where you come through and under the trees, which you can link really, really well.
Full circuit is so much better than Island, and I still don't understand why we're doing Island in Time Attack.
It's
got a lack of scrutineering or whatever.
It's not. It's an historical thing because Time Attack is about competing against time. So if we go from Ireland to the full circuit next year, you can't directly compare how you improve year after year. So
they could do a double header.
They could
do a double header.
Obviously, Alton Park only runs on Sundays for the BTCC. That's Alton Park is historically only runs on Sundays. So, but no, Alton Park's my favourite. The bit for the woods is gives me Cadwell vibes. So it's really nice circuit. Most favourite or most memorable Time Attack car?
Well, I'm unlike a lot of people. I didn't actually know about Time Attack until 2018. There was a guy that was competing at the time called Simon Roberts, who had in my view, was the perfect Noble. Turns out it wasn't. There was actually another Noble that was competing at the same time that was quicker. Green one, yeah. But it was the fact, I mean, the car stood out so well. It had like a chrome bright green wrap on it.
That's it, I remember
it. It had the RSR body kit on it. It had this like triple vane rear wing on it.
I know the guy, I met him.
It looked absolutely amazing. It was a fast car, and he won his class. And it was speaking with him that got me into Time Attack. I didn't know anyone else. Like people always talk about like Gobstopper and things like Black Mamba and stuff like this. I didn't know any of them at all. But it was because of that car that got me into it. So I'd have to say Simons, yeah.
Green Noble.
Green Noble. I'll answer that one last, actually. What is the advice for anyone looking to enter Time Attack?
Just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Nike,
honestly.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Edit that on the screen. Nike, just do it.
Honestly, just do it. There is a class for every single car. You've got, as we've said throughout, you've got the friendliest paddock because you're not competing with everyone that's there. Everyone wants everyone else to do the best that they possibly can.
And you don't have to do a full season. You can literally enter a single round plus lap.
Pick your local circuit. Pick your favourite circuit. Go and give it a try. Come and speak to us as well. Walk up and down the paddock. Put your head inside. It doesn't matter whether it's our garage, whether it's in a Clubman, or even if you want to go up and speak to Simon Norris. Like, everyone's friendly. Nobody's going to turn you away unless something's broken. Then it's not the best of times.
If the gearbox on the floor and these,
and you can see
then you'll see
crying in the corner that.
Like there was
approach.
When we had the live stream. This is going a little bit off topic. When we had the live stream and I had the first fire at Cadwell, Alexi was commentating and he could see that I just had the fire, and he said something like, Ben Robinson is always such a cool and calm character. Doesn't matter what happens, nothing keeps him down. And at that moment,
you got out the car.
No, I tore the gloves off and threw him into the marshal's office, and I kicked something, and he says something like, well, maybe today's not his day. And it was just perfectly timed, honestly. It's on there. It's still on there. It's just absolutely perfect.
Well, actually, you know what? Here's the little snippet.
But I don't say the one thing, but I'm saying, what would you change about Time Attack?
Yeah, I mean, they don't want it.
No.
They've made it clear that they don't want it.
No.
And
for a period.
we're not going to change their mind on it.
No.
But I would love some sort of videography coverage. In my view, it doesn't have to be live streamed to begin with. Live stream works very, very well for a lot of series.
Or it doesn't have to be a live stream for entire event. Even if it's a single, let's say, just final.
Yeah.
Even that will do.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, even if it's not live stream, but for example, they film.
Do a highlights package.
Yeah, so they film each one, for example, and then they make each class like this is what happened in the final as it happened, even though if it's not live. Even that would be good. So you can refer to
condense it down so that you get the viewing figures. You don't have the loss of interest from people watching all day. I mean, we love the live stream.
Yeah.
Our friends and family love the live stream, and I think Time Attack knows that.
But probably for them,
but they know that they're the only ones who really watch it.
There's not enough interest for them to warrant paying it. So that's why, but something would be. Instead, what we're getting, admittedly, a lot more of social media, short form videos of 60 seconds where it's just a kind of cinematic with music. They are brilliant, but we cannot show this to our sponsors. We cannot promote ourselves with it. It's just for our.
But it's not just about ourselves, though. It's about promoting the sport, bringing bigger names to the sport.
So I'm going to say
if we bring bigger names to the sport, it benefits Time Attack.
But Biggie J at the end does a better job than the official Time Attack show.
Honestly, give Biggie a
JDM,
job.
right?
Honestly, we said he would literally work for pastries.
Well, it's not that, right? So I met Biggie at or Chris.
I think first one at Donington.
Yes. Okay, so he came round and he walked up and down and he did his little bit and he did his bit at the car show and he came in and he interviewed me. And after we did it, I said to him, "Look, mate, that was brilliant, absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for coming and talking to me because I love it. I love the attention, a bit of camera work. It's brilliant. I mean, I will be doing my own live stream. That's what we're planning at the moment, with Time Attack as well. It won't obviously be as professional, but there'll be something there. You can see what we're doing. So I messaged him afterwards, and I said, "Look, I loved you being there. Are you coming to the next one?" And he wasn't sure. I said, "Well, I'm going to have a ticket ready for you. I want you to come along, be part of our team." And he was absolutely over the moon with it. Absolutely over the moon with it.
You can tell the enthusiasm in the
because he loves the sport. That's why. He loves the cars. He loves the paddock, the whole feeling of being there. And then he said, "Oh, well, my girlfriend's coming." I said, "No worries. Have another ticket." So he brought his girlfriend along. So she did photos while they were there as well, and the two of them are lovely. Like he's on another level as far as enthusiasm is concerned.
I know.
He's probably the most enthusiastic person that I've ever met about sport. He knows every driver. He knows the team of every driver. He knows the car of every driver. He knows like the team name of every car that's there, and he can tell you as well what people have done between rounds, between years. No, he knows everything. And
he follows everyone on Instagram and stuff.
Exactly. And because of him being part of our team, though, he then did us like a feature-long video.
Yeah.
It's like an hour and 10 minutes or something.
Because we were like, I think it was for Snetterton, I think. So I think we all try and get him for Snetterton. I think he'd obviously someone else had already got it. I thought, I was like. Well, you know what, fair play, 'cause that means that his enthusiasm is showing and that people, are taking interest in them. But he, flat out, his videos is a lot better. And the only thing about his videos, which is a kind of shame, is that it's a shame he hasn't got a load of people around the circuit doing a video for
Yeah.
him. Because then he
He
probably
could bring it together.
Because then he probably then could compile, here's Ben smashing the slap out and a bit
Yeah.
of B-roll footage of you going out.
Unfortunately-
It's funny you say that. That's what we're doing for Cadwell.
Right.
We're going to be out. Jess is going to be like our team media for the day, so she's going to take out a few different spots, get a few videos of people going around and whatnot. We're going to send it over to him as well, so that he can stick into his. And then he's got, like you say, a lot more B-roll there.
Yeah.
Because he's only one man. He's only one man. He's got one camera. He films loads. He goes through SD cards and batteries like crazy. 'Cause he's filming all day long. But he's underutilized.
Ooh,
A lot of the paddock. We do like him, but everyone needs to get behind him. Everyone needs to share every video that he puts
It's
up.
absolutely essential to have a person like this around and within and with Time Attack, 100%. Not even as a competitor, but literally, he is the biggest fan of Time Attack, and he's almost like a mascot. His face should be on Time Attack logo.
Yeah,
because
and
he is that you watch him,
Yeah.
and maybe he's not the most professional commentator yet. He's not the most professional editor or filmographer, but his sheer excitement and the love of the sport. Look, I have goosebumps, literally, just talking, because I feel energy when he talks, and it's so infectious watching him, and you just want to know what happened, especially when he's like, oh my god, it's happening, and you almost like, oh, what's going on, who is there? And it could be literally just somebody on the cool down lap, like NSX, go, and you're like, they're called cool down lap, but he's like, it's all happening right here, right now, guys, oh my god.
But you get excited when he posts something as well. Like he posts
you're
up
waiting for
a
it.
teaser. He posts up a teaser coming live 5 p.m. tonight.
Yes.
Part 1 of 7.
Yeah,
and you're like, yes!
Exactly.
And you finish it and you're like, I want to watch the next one. When's it coming out? And he's like,
And he's really good on those cliffhangers. Have you noticed?
Yeah, he is good on them.
Because I think I kind of almost gave him not enough credit when I said he's not the greatest of editors yet and stuff, but he's actually good in that sense. Every of those like multiple part videos, when he ends it, you're like, oh, you bastard, and you always want to watch the next one.
watch it.
Yeah. Even though it could be something super trivial, he's like almost like clickbaity type stuff. So it's not like something extra, but he makes sure. Anyways, the excitement of Chris.
But if you look at him compared to the likes of, or the sheer quantity of people who do something very similar, but for car shows, and you get the number like. Is it Adam C? Adam MC? So I've spoken to him a couple of times. Really, really nice person. Came round at the car show at NEC as well.
Good.
Battery died. Literally just now.
Oh, really?
Literally just now. But we
got this one.
We have that one. We're almost
Well, to be fair, we're like over 2 hours now.
Yeah.
Girlfriend will not be happy.
No.
She's sitting outside in the van.
No, I'm sorry.
But if we have more people like that, they've got plenty. They're just filming people coming in and out of shows. And
I don't
that
agree with
really helps
filming
them.
at the end exit of shows.
No, but their enthusiasm for it and the number of people that do it mean that more people do it, and then more people want to be seen doing it. It's the same thing. You just need that
even though we're not competing this year, we had come up with a plan
to join Young Run Racing and do all of our videography.
That as well. but our problem is that we never capture the action. And we sort of said this year, I was like, right, if we're competing this year, as like, if my car comes in on fire, I says there's enough people there to fix the car, just get the camera out and film it. Because as again, Biggie's there filming it, so if your car comes in on fire,
you got a great shot of us at angles here actually.
We go, right guys, we're back and we've had a fire, we've fixed it. Here's the next section. And Biggie just sort of fills that gap. Audio's died, so we're now on backup audio. Hopefully it's picking up quite well.
It should be absolutely fine. But Ben, it's been absolutely fantastic. Great chat.
We could probably go through a couple of hours.
Yeah, easy. It was just so seamless. So one last thing. Would you like to? You obviously already mentioned and touched a bunch of people, but any major sponsors? Anybody you would like to thank and sort of?
B&R Logistics. Fantastic logistic company. They will move almost anything all around the country.
No load too big or small.
No load too big or small.
Call this number now.
And you might even see me at your door. DTB Motorsport, Dave over there, he's got me out of so many problems before. Doesn't matter what time it is. But he doesn't just work on Nobles. Like if you go to his garage, he's probably got 5 or 6 Nobles sitting in there at any one time. But he does any like performance car, classic car. But they even do things on vans. So it's literally DTB Motorsport over at Mallory Park in Leicestershire. Absolutely amazing. Turbo Technics. I mean, it's in the name. Any sort of turbo issues, rebuilds, replacements, best guys to go to. Jeff still races. I mean, he might kill me for this if I get his age wrong, but he's around 80 and
Mature.
he still races, and he's got a passion for the sport, and anything you need to know about turbos, he's there. The Store and More, which is a furniture company, they've been following me since the very start. They do like upcycles and repairs and stuff on like home-based furniture, and I feel like I've forgotten somebody, so if I have, they will insert it for me later.
And the very last question, Yum Yum Racing. I keep forgetting, why Yum Yum?
I always thought it's because he likes the Yum Yums from Greg's.
Well,
So, okay, brilliant question, and it's one I get asked a lot, and I love answering it as well.
End the video here.
yeah, literally.
So, it's called Yum Yum Racing because when I started to race the Noble, I needed some money. Basically, I needed some money.
Oh, okay. Are we talking
So-
about cottage in here? Or?
So I went on to Grindr. I
Link
yeah.
in the description.
I asked my granddad for some money, and he said no problem at all. How much do you need? I told him how much I needed. He gave me double the amount, which I was absolutely over the moon with. But he said he didn't want anything back in return. Now my granddad is 60 years older than me, so he's 94 years old at the moment.
Still going?
Still going strong. Him
Right.
and my nan, who's a couple of years younger. I do get her age wrong.
Big up your nan.
Absolutely. But I needed to give something back. I didn't know really what I could do. But my great nan, so his mother, was called Jane. And every weekend, when I was a little boy, I used to go around there and she used to make cakes. Every single time she'd make cakes or pastries or something. So as a little kid, I called her Nanny Yum Yum.
Right, okay.
And the name stuck. So my granddad started saying, we're going to go and see your Nanny Yum Yum. My dad says, we're going to see your Nanny Yum Yum. My uncle, his daughter, my mum, my aunt, everyone. And even when she went into the home as well, I mean, she lived a long time. She was 101, 102. When she went into the home, even though everyone there knew that her name was Jane, she also got called Yum Yum. So I thought I would name the team after her. Hence, Yum Yum Racing.
Brilliant.
Yeah, good
Brilliant.
story.
Yeah,
I like
yeah,
that.
Yeah, it has.
It's not just because I like the pastries from Greg's.
Yeah.
Though they are very nice, Greg's.
And on that note, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure having you around. It's been a pleasure
Yeah,
being
it's
around.
currently 8:25. Ben needs to go Cadwell and get set up ready for round 3 of Time Attack UK. But thank you, Ben, for coming.
Yeah, thank you very much, mate.
It's been a
It's
pleasure
been a
to have you
pleasure.
on.
Yeah. And we will see you on the next one. Don't forget to subscribe, like this video, tell your,
Nan.
and we'll see you on the
Nanny
next
Yum
one.
Yum.
Yum Yum Racing, you got to
Yum.
follow them too.
Yeah, all the links or whatever we feel like putting in there in the description. Follow him, them, us, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.